comfortable? Isn't the sea lovely today?" She glanced over her shoulder to admire the deep blues and froth-edged eddies of the Atlantic, and turned back, smiling. "I've brought our book. Would you like me to read to you while you enjoy the view?" He gave a nod, but no verbal answer. Gladys hadn't expected one. None of us did, for Uncle Cornelius had never fully recovered after that awful day in the summer of '96, when he and Neely had their dreadful row, and Uncle Cornelius had collapsed in a stroke of apoplexy. There had been smaller strokes since, leaving him incapacitated. Still, his gaze found his daughter's, brightened and brimmed with affectionate emotions, and then narrowed ever so slightly in a smile his lips could not quite form. Gladys, still holding his hand, raised up on her knees and kissed his cheek, and as she pulled away she whispered, "Thank you, Father." I understood her gratitude, for it seemed to all of us that although Cornelius Vanderbilt's strength had waned, his legs no longer worked, and his mind had become trapped behind a silenced tongue, he somehow still had the power to let us know he valued us, and that we were important to him. He had not forgotten to tell Gladys how beautiful he found her. One of the footmen produced her book and handed it to her, while the others went into the bathhouse and brought out folding wood and canvas chairs. Gladys settled in close to her father and began to read, while her mother sat at his other side and studied the other beachgoers. "Good heavens," Aunt Alice suddenly said with a harumph. "Is that Lucy Clews I see splashing about in the waves? In a bathing costume?" Seated beside her, I raised my hand to my hat brim to further shield my eyes, and glanced out over the water. Among the group of women bobbing in the waves, I recognized the dark-haired Mrs. Clews, wife of New York financier Henry Clews. "Yes, Aunt Alice, I'm afraid it is." Aunt Alice had never gotten over her shock at the bathing ensembles women wore these days, albeit the woolen blouses, knee-length skirts, bloomers, and stockings covered every inch of skin but for the forearms, from the neck down. Still, most people, men and women both, strolled the beach in lightweight street clothes, and planned no more than a quick wade through the shallowest waters that skimmed the sand, if that. I myself had worn a linen tennis dress I'd come by second-hand from Gladys's elder sister Gertrude. The ocean breezes kept me cool enough, and I had no desire to slog about in heavy, sodden, sandy wool. Gladys found her bookmark and proceeded where she and Uncle Cornelius had left off in The Life of Samuel Johnson by James Boswell. Poor Gladys. I knew she'd much rather be reading a novel, something by Louisa May Alcott, or perhaps Jane Austen, but she was more than willing to trudge through a staid biography to please her father. From the water came yelps of laughter as a group of women, segregated from the male swimmers, splashed one another. Some floated on life rings or wore cork life jackets. Others danced up and down with their arms held above the cresting waves. I smiled at their antics, listened to Gladys's calm reading, and enjoyed the warmth of the sun on my skirts. My thoughts wandered. Sudden screams cut off Gladys's next sentence, and even Uncle Cornelius flinched against the wicker back of his chair. Aunt Alice leaned forward, as did I, to locate the source of the cries. Out beyond the female swimmers, one dark, shining blob floated on the currents. A fish? A bank of seaweed? A massive jellyfish? That would certainly produce screams. Then a pale arm flailed and a leg clad in a black stocking kicked, and I realized the blob could only be a woman who had lost her footing and been swept up by the tide. In an instant I was on my feet and racing to the water's edge, though what I would do when I got there, I didn't yet know. The shrieks of laughter from the other women abruptly turned to shrieks of fright. Some of them attempted to fight the incoming waves to make their way out to their foundering friend. Their woolens made them clumsy and dragged them back,